So I bought this car roughly about 4 years ago. When I bought it, the frame was shot on the front end was rotted out. So what I did was we took the frame out, took the motor, took the transmission out, replaced every suspension component. What I also did is I took out the fuel injection harness. I saved that, but I'm probably going to sell that off at some point because I don't really need it anymore. But what we did is we pulled the motor out, pulled the transmission out, cleaned everything up, cleaned years and years of garbage just floating in the car. We actually reinforced the lower control arms in the front. They're not going to have issues. There's still some parts I want to change out on. We pulled the frame out of the car as well. This is the frame itself. It's a great part. It's hard to see from anywhere else in the car, but unless you got like underneath it. The front of the frame was completely rotted right out though. So we had to rebuild the whole front end. A number of people helped me restore this actually. As far as the motor goes, the motor wasn't quite original when we bought it. Looks like at some point we had a motor that was replaced in the past. It wasn't quite the correct bearing in the fuel system. Rather than trying to fix what was there and try to make it work in the car, I opted to replace it with a carburetor system from the gentleman down in the Carolinas. That's all back here. The interior is still a little rough. It still needs work on it. I try to do it once myself on it. The other thing I did was I rebuilt, well, I shouldn't say rebuilt, I repaired the roof box, which is underneath here. What that does, it houses the torsion bar, which is this right here. We also obviously replaced the clutch wire in there, rebuilt the front of the frame, painted the whole frame in 415 and coated it in several parts of epoxy paint to try to match the original color of the frame. Still needs some work. The rear bumpers still need to be repainted around the edges. The interior still needs some work. So there's some rough areas. But besides that, it's pretty much all set to go. There's just a few odds and ends on it. This is what actually does all the work on the door. This is just to keep it from falling back down on you. These are cryogenically frozen stainless steel bars, and they're twisted, and they act like a spring. So you let go of the handle, it pops the door open. What happens is over time, the roof box was only glued down, it wasn't bolted down. So the roof box starts to pop up, misaligns everything. You can bust these guys, and there's not a lot of these left. So you need one of those.
It seems like a commonality between a lot of the people who own these is you're sort of picking up the pieces off of, I don't want to call it neglect, but maybe the missed opportunity people had to take care of these vehicles the way they should have.
When they went out of business, a lot of people didn't know what to do for parts and service, so a lot of them unfortunately just sat and deteriorated. There's a number of companies now that offer services and parts for them, from full-blown restorations to just part replacements. There's a place down in Texas who I deal a lot with. There's a place over in Europe I deal a lot with. And then obviously the gentleman down in South Carolina is helping us tremendously with tech information as far as the car goes. The inside of the dashboard was completely destroyed. The headliner was actually sitting down on an angle like that, where this piece here was almost touching the front. We had a mishap. My son and I were driving up to Dixon City, and one of the coolant lines I didn't have high enough, and it was like rubbed on the exhaust and busted when we were driving. So stopped at an auto parts store. Within a few moments, I had the car back up and running. Bled the system out right in the parking lot, and we were on the road in 20 minutes. A number of the wiring was wrong. So what I tried to do was take the car back to as close to stock as possible, and at that point trying to repair anything that's wrong at that point. There was a number of people that had their hands in this thing over the years, and they didn't do a lot of the correct fixes. So
are reproduction parts common, or do you guys deal a lot in like new old stock?
Somewhat, it depends on what you're looking for. There are reproduction parts out there, but there's so many parts that were left over from when they closed up that they have enough to build. I think there was enough to build like 300 initial cars. I actually first came across this car about 15-20 years ago when I had my first DeLorean, and it was a very nice lady who owned it over in Exeter, and she ended up selling it to me about it'll be 4 years ago in September, and we went there with our newborn son. We went there, we brought it home, and ever since then we've taken it apart and rebuilt it. So it's only been on the road since October, actually. So there's a lot of spare parts, and for the cars that need to be replaced, the cars lasted now over almost 40 years. So I mean, it's not like they need to be replaced a lot. So it's like any other vehicle. Certain things wear out, but a lot of stuff is interchangeable with other vehicles too. So this is the trunk. There's not a whole lot up here. lot of spare tools, a lot of spare parts I keep in that bag. So it's an old car, like any old car, it breaks down. It's not a hard car. It's not a hard car to fix. Sometimes.
Is there a like larger community with DeLorean owners like there are with Jeep drivers? Jeeps, there's like the Jeep wave where people go past each other. Is there something similar to that with you guys?
Yeah, there is a very big DeLorean community. As far as what they look for, there's a lot of custom cars out there. A lot of cars that are considered concours. A lot of Back to the Future conversions and other people take other twists on the car. Overall, it's a pretty welcoming community as well too. Everybody likes to help each other. A lot of people just to get the cars back on the road. So it's a nice little clique. I mean, despite the DeLorean having a bad reputation, it's not really a bad car. It's needs its work on it, but once you get the bugs worked out of it, they're fine. It's like any other old car. You just got to take care of it. I don't drive it as much as I'd like to, but we have 3 kids at home, so once in a while I'll throw a car seat in for a ride. But
I see you have yours more set up similar to how it was originally. How do you feel about people converting them into the Back to the Future version?
I kind of look at it this way. If the car is a mint car, I generally would say leave it alone. My personal opinion. If the car was like the condition mine was in, I'd say have at it, do whatever you want to. It's your car. You enjoy it, you have fun with it, and you live once, so enjoy. I don't begrudge anybody doing it. I just get one that's beat up. If you can't, you break up a concourse car. You do. There's worse things out there. So.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
No problem.
May I shake your hand?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Guys. Nice to meet you guys.
Have a good day.
You too. Just together. As I say, I have to recover the seats, recover the dash, everything else on it. That's all needs work. There was a lot of mold in here. There's a lot of mice. There's a lot of mice damage. A lot of wires had to be repaired, but over the years we did it. So most of it is these cars just sat neglected, and people didn't know how to work on them or didn't want to work on them, and they tried to make their own fixes, and inadvertently made the cars a lot worse. Once you get them worked out, they're pretty easygoing cars. There's not a lot to them.